first album was called In Flux, and it was only 12 minutes and 11 seconds long. But in that short time, he crammed in enough originality in samples and loops, vocal and groove, that he made a huge name for himself.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of buzz about this guy, especially with the onslaught of his latest album, his first full-length release called Endtroducing. And our friend Yanni at Musique Plus caught up with him in Montreal.
And I guess fittingly for a DJ, there was a lot of vinyl involved in the interview.
A lot of those big black round things.
What's up, Montreal? Let's go.
I've been called in certain circles, whether it be the smallest fanzine from the Bay, hip-hop zine, on up to Rolling Stone or whatever, I'm always being called the next big thing. So I'm sort of used to that. I mean, I can't take it seriously. I just got to keep doing what I do. I consider what I do to be hip-hop because that's what I grew up listening to. That's the music that raised me. Everything I sample, it's because there's a split second of genius there. Okay. And the whole art of it is trying to make those seconds add up into minutes and then eventually a whole album, which is what I tried to do. Being in a used record store, I didn't really think about it for years, but it is sort of humbling because you're looking, if you make music and you shop for records the way I do, it is sort of humbling because you're looking at a lot of groups that you know, they honestly felt that this was their shot. And some groups in here that it was, you know, they were successful and they put out several albums. Here's April Wine, you know, they were successful enough to do what looks like about 8 records. And then other groups, you know, you might pull out and they only did 1. And it's been proven as well that artists that are sampled, and as soon as it gets out what the original sample is, if the song that you did it on is a hit, it only helps the original artist's career. What attracted me to records was, well, I started buying hip-hop, and obviously that at the time was a vinyl. I mean, CDs weren't really out yet, and 12-inch singles were the format that you would find hip-hop on. But what really got me into buying old records and really sort of being passionate and actually obsessive about it was when sampling started happening. Mm-hmm. And it was things like Peter Piper by Run DMC. Yeah. The beat, you know, Mardi Gras by Bob James, that runs through it was really hypnotic. And it started to make me think about, you know, why don't I know what that record is? I started buying old records as much as I bought new records around about 88. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of been the trend ever since, as far as what I buy. If you're a lawyer, you need to know everything there is to know about the law.
Yeah.
And you should spend a lot of time in a law library, research. I just consider this research. And I consider it, you know, if I have a really broad base of records to sample from, I'm going to be able to be more specific about what it is that I use. Or a song on the album, Endtroducing, is me sort of taking one part of a record that just went and then like chopping it up and replaying it on the sampler, just as you would on an actual keyboard. I think a lot of people thought that either I played that or that I sort of sampled the bits as they existed and organized them, but it's actually rewriting whole new notes and whole new compositions. The instrumental side of what I do is important to me, and it's the most challenging, but equally important is the tracks I do for the rappers that I work with, Lyrics Born, Latif, Black Alicious, and other groups from the Bay and back where I'm from, or anybody, depending. I did a remix with The Roots, and I consider them both to be equally important. I consider the instrumental side to be the most challenging because if there's no narrative, explicit narrative from either a singer or a rapper, I feel that blank space needs to be filled with something. And instrumental music...
Pressure there.
I believe it needs to be arranged differently to be entertaining from beginning to end. It shouldn't just sound like a beat that needs a rapper or a singer on it, because to me that anybody can really do that. It's telling a story sonically that to me is really interesting.
My name is Lyrics, and you got DJ Shadow on the mix. No doubt we're gonna give you what you want. Come on, who's ready tonight to get it up? Who's ready tonight to get it up? Who's ready tonight to get it up?
When people aren't afraid to experiment and they aren't afraid to innovate, then that's positive for whatever genre it is that they're trying to expand on. In my case, that's hip hop, and I feel like at least now there is a choice, for people who maybe are a little bit tired of hearing the same old thing. Now at least there's a choice, and I always appreciated it as a music buyer, and I want to be able to buy records. I get frustrated when I go to a record store and I'm just like, oh, this is just all the same sound, the same messages, the same sort of textures, and hopefully I'm just offering an alternative. And if everybody did that, then it'd be a really fertile ground.